Hello everyone, welcome to Inner Insight. I am extremely happy to be back with you all again to share the most prevailing kind of an issue which every human being on the earth goes through. And what is that? Well, overthinking. Even as I was saying that, I was thinking about something, and so I can imagine, to what extent we get captured and captivated by the thoughts that are there in us, like endless commentary with absolutely no pattern, and there is something. There is no empty space. It's just there all the time. So it can be pretty devastating, it can be pretty exhausting, and mind can get so tired, and which we term as a stress. So what is all this about? The stress is not some external pressure all the time. The external pressures are momentary while we have something to achieve or a target to meet, or those kind of things. But then the constant pressure that is there in us is because of this entire thing of constant commentary, the thinking, the overthinking, which we do not have a control over. Okay, but psychologists have spoken a lot about it and proven, and being a psychologist myself, I do practice mindfulness and strategies to reduce the jabbering inside. This comes with a lot of practice, and it is something which you need to keep constantly reminding yourself. So and what I've understood is and experienced myself is, when in the daytime you keep this goes on and on and on, sometimes it even continues in the night, and without your knowledge, and you are in a very disturbed sleep because you're not really sleeping. Your mind is so active, and it's like all the time going on and on and on. So how do we take care of these things? Well, from my understanding and from what I have heard from other psychologists and experienced and practiced myself, I can give you a few strategies. Whenever something is constantly jabbering inside you, just replace that with something else. Like, for example, if the mind is constantly imagining and thinking about, say, a tall giraffe basically. So without any, this is just an example. So what do? You want to get rid of the giraffe in your mind's image, right? So you consciously replace that with something else, maybe a cat. Okay, just take your mind away from the giraffe and replace it with the cat, and the thought about the giraffe diminishes after a while, and the cat is just a distraction. Okay, so don't, again, not to make that a pattern, it is just a distraction. So that's one of the ways. Then what you can do is, like, if the most often the reasons for these are our own worries, anxieties, fears, panics, uncertainties, and if only this should have happened. We are only looking for things which is not real. So we are not experiencing this moment. We want to live in a moment which is non-existing. So we have to consciously bring ourselves back and live only in this moment and deal with what is there now. What is hypothetical, we do not have to imagine those things and let that take over in our mind. And we need to understand one more thing. There is some planning, some kind of a reason for certain thought process to happen and those things. So what you can be more organized and you write them down. When you write down these things and make it a practice to put it down in a journal or as a reflective journal, so it helps you understand what your mind is actually thinking about, the pattern of its thinking, and how you can work on it. Okay, so write it down. That's another very strong strategy which I followed, and I found it immensely helpful, because then you're evacuating your brain. Okay, you will not be holding on to thoughts in yourself. You're evacuating it from the system and putting it from the hardware, you're transferring it to the software. It's like that. So you just put it down on a pen and paper, and it's like it's out of your system at least. Then you have to understand one thing, that it's not possible to always be lost in hypotheticals. Like, if only I could, again, the point is to live in this moment and not deviate from this moment into something which is non-existential, right? What is now is existing. You are existing, your breath is existing, this moment is there. What is not there is not there. So is there any point in even thinking, okay, how do you stop this? Again, this is a very, very conscious effort you need to put in this. You need to understand that the mind, okay, even for example, even in schools we see children deviate after a couple of 5 minutes or 7 minutes, and their mind starts wandering. And it happens even with us. If you have to sit in some kind of a lecture or a meeting, after 7 to 8 minutes mind starts wandering, which is a very natural thing, probably because it's like constantly listening is difficult. Now in your mind, when you're not engaged with any meeting or a classroom scenario also, mind is still occupied. So another strategy which I use for myself is I set a alarm or a timer in my mobile for every half an hour, 45 minutes, and when it beeps, I come back from wherever it is, come back here, and I'm in that moment for the next 1 minute or 1.5 minutes, or however long I can sustain. I am there in that moment and focusing only on my breath, my breathing patterns, and what I am feeling at that moment. So this helps me take better decisions. This helps me come out, break the pattern of that constant overthinking, and it helps in basically freeing yourself. So these are few of the practices that I have tried on myself, and there are a lot many which I will definitely share in the next video. This is the part 1 of how to stop overthinking. We'll definitely come up with some more meaningful strategies which can be effective, but for the time being, please do practice these and see how they can make a difference in your life, in you, so that you don't get overloaded. Anything that is overloaded can just blast. Okay, so see to it that you do not blast. All right, thank you so much. See you again sometime soon.